Awesome. Boy. Oh, shoot.
Rookie mistake.
I know. I'm like, oh my gosh. There we go. Now you're back in it.
Oh, great.
Yeah. Kevin here.
Yeah.
Okay. It's awesome. So we're here now with our much-awaited guest. So excited. We have Nikki Nightengale in studio. Nikki, how are you doing today?
Good. How are you? Thanks for having me on.
Yes. Yes. So Kendall, well, so first, introduction, right? Like Nikki is an incredible hockey player. We have our first professional athlete in the house. She might not claim that to be herself, but she is indeed getting paid to play hockey. So that's what we're going to classify that as. And PWHL, a player for the Sonnet, and also had an absolute standout at Augsburg, and then a Bloomington Jefferson standout as well. So thank you for being in studio. Just really quick, I guess, right, we have a podcast about hockey. How did you start playing hockey? Because I do understand that you figure skated at first.
Yep, I figure skated for maybe a year, and then one of my brothers played hockey, and so I used to skate with one of those helmets. It was a gold helmet, but it didn't have a cage on there. And so after my figure skating, I told my mom, I said, when am I going to get my cage? And then, because I really wanted to be like my brother and play hockey, and so then that's how it all started.
Yeah, and was Sinbad Media, was she okay with that or what?
Yeah, she was.
Okay.
I think she she started me in ballet and figure skating, then she realized that I was such a tomboy when I was a kid, and she was like, yeah, that's not you. So it kind of makes sense.
Okay. So I understand that you also were premature, and we talked about that. Does that put a chip on your shoulder, right? You have your younger brother, your older brother's here now. Like, here you are already coming out, right? Maybe you're a little bit smaller, not now, obviously very robust, you're very strong, but you talk about beating up, right? A lot of nosebleeds. Like, how does that work?
Yeah. So 2 older brothers. They definitely weren't taking it easy on their little sister, not being protective at all. I'm very competitive as a person in general, and I always wanted to do what my brothers were doing. So even if I was horrible at whatever sport we were all playing, I still kept going in there. But, they would beat me up every now and then, toughen me up, have to. Definitely a lot of nosebleeds. I have a chipped front tooth. So, I got a lot going on, but it made me who I am today. So I guess I can thank them a little bit, but not too much.
Yeah, okay. Well, hockey player mentality. Shout out to the brothers.
I always gotta ask, were you guys like a hockey family growing up? Were your parents big hockey fans, or how did that start?
Yeah, so my grandpa, my dad's side, played hockey, but my dad didn't. And then my mom always says that she would play hockey if there were girls hockey back then, but I don't know if I would. But so she was always a hockey fan, especially. So she went to Jefferson High School back when they were winning state championships. So they were always big fans of that. So she would go to those. But yeah, so they were kind of fans of it, but nobody ever really played until my brother played, because we were from California. That's where we were born. And then moving here, it's a rite of passage to play hockey. My brother started playing hockey. And then, my oldest brother, he ended up playing basketball, baseball, and football.
Okay.
But he would get dragged along to all of our hockey stuff too. Yeah, so.
Wait, how did DJ start playing hockey? Just really quick.
Honestly, I think it was just friends. Okay. I think he just kind of was everybody in the neighborhood, everybody that went to school played hockey, and so then he ended up playing hockey too. Yeah, that's what happened to you kind of, right? Yeah, that's awesome. I love that. Okay, so Bloomington Jefferson, hockey, right, or just in general, tell us a little bit about that experience. Yeah, so when I was younger, I played with the boys up until Pee-wees, because Pee-wees at that time was checking, and my mom was like, you're going to get hurt, you're too small, you're not doing that. So then I went over to girls, did U12s for a couple of years, and then we had an opportunity to do U14s, but it was kind of a smaller team, would have been the same basically as my U12 team. So we decided to had just split, and for all of us 8th graders, we played the high school teams. At that time, it was Bloomington, Jefferson, and Kennedy, but then I think my sophomore year, we combined, so we had just, everybody was under Jefferson, but Kennedy and Jefferson were combined. So it was kind of fun playing with those girls that I played U12s with again, but yeah, I mean, we weren't a Edina powerhouse like some people around here.
Well, like, wait, okay, so you started playing forward, right? And then all of a sudden, you transitioned to defense. So what happened there?
Yeah, so I think when I was younger, it was more like, obviously everybody wants to score goals, so I played forward. Didn't score much. But
No.
and then I switched to defense, I think mainly because I was a decent skater going backwards. So I think they kind of just stick whoever can skate backwards back there. But then I kind of fell in love with it. It was kind of fun, especially I think growing up, knowing that we were able to still score as defense. You can still rush the puck up. Back then it was a lot of like stay at home, like that was kind of the main thing. But now that you can do both in a sense, I think defense is the best spot for me. So high school I played both, but then even up to my senior year I played forward and defense, but at Augsburg I was fully defense.
Yeah. So do you have any questions about high school hockey?
Yeah, so going back a little bit, did you always kind of have a knack for hockey? Like, did you pick it up quick, or is it something like you had to work on a lot, or your brothers kind of pushed you?
Yeah, so I think starting off with skating in general, my mom tells me the story all the time, but I would go out there every 2 seconds, the lady would pick me up and skate me over and say, she has to go to the bathroom. And it was the entire time. I probably skated for 2 seconds, the whole hour. So I think skating wise took a bit for me to get used to. But then after I got the hang of that, then I think it was really fun so that you could just get all of that competitiveness out there, and it was tons of fun for me. So I just stuck with it.
That sounds like a lot of fun. So then college hockey came, and you were a standout in high school, and you came to the conclusion that you did want to play in college, and you ended up at Augsburg. But I understand that you easily, you were very talented. You could have gone a lot of other places. But how did you end up at Augsburg? Why did you end up at Augsburg? And then we'll talk a little about your career there, but you were a defenseman and you also led the team in scoring. So you talked about that a bit, but we'll get into your accolades in a second. But yeah, tell us about Augsburg, how you got there.
Yeah, so the coaches watched me at, I believe it was a tournament, and then later on it was a fall prep league. So at that point it was I want to say the fall, or summer-ish going into my senior year. It was kind of up in the air. I was still not sure where I wanted to go, what I wanted to do. I had no idea. And back then, the commitment rules they weren't as strict as they are now. So I mean, now you have to be a junior to commit to colleges. But back then, people were committing freshman, sophomore, 8th grade. So by that time, it was slim pickings for your senior year. But honestly, it just kind of fell into my lap as to how Augsburg came about, and I'm forever grateful. It was the best thing that could have ever happened to me. But when we visited, I think being in the city, but it's still a smaller school, so you get that community feel, but it's not as big as the U, but the U's across the street, right? So it's just, I think it was the best of both worlds, that you could kind of tie both of those things together, and it was just the best experience I could have ever had.
Did you spend a lot of time at the U?
No.
Okay.
I was gonna ask, because I think I read you had a couple D1 schools looking at you. Did you ever look back and be dang, I wish I would have done that, or gone a different route?
Yeah, I mean, there were a couple, but there were just some things that were going on that they were either too full, or it was you weren't going to play, maybe. It was up in the air. But when I talked to Augsburg, they were we're going to have you play here, you'll have a great time. And they really, you could tell that it was more of a like a
You got a
team
scholarship
feel.
too.
Well, I
Yeah.
mean, it's throughout this school.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. Yeah, but no, I mean they wanted you were their
Yeah.
very like you were gonna be their top player, and you were.
Yeah.
You know, so that's incredible. And so tell us a little bit about. So you had your first season, started out maybe a little bit slow. I know you led in blocking shots, and then kind of from there you started to really just take off. And then at one point you were the leading scorer for your team, leading in, many categories for goals shorthanded, game-winning goals, and you were the defenseman. So, people always sometimes don't, put those two together. So how did you have that kind of career as a stay-at-home defenseman, a lot of success there, and then also being an incredible goal-scoring defenseman, and then it also led you to be an All-American?
Yeah, so definitely have to give credit to my teammates for, especially there's a few of those power play goals or things like that. Like obviously, I'm not doing all that on my own. I'm at the blue line, so obviously they're either screening the goalie, getting lanes open for me, things like that. But I used I think my speed was something that helped me a lot. So I would rush up the puck and. I don't know. Something miracles happen.
Yeah. And so wait, just talk about Russian. Who did you look up to at this point? And maybe there wasn't that kind of representation actually at that moment, but if there was, who did you look up to? Did you style your your play of after anybody, or who was your mentor that kind of taught you the game?
Yeah, I mean honestly, I never really had like one solid person, but obviously in general, I think the women's game, I looked up to all of them. So I mean, I think every little kid wants to be an NHL player, an Olympian, things like that. And so looking up to all of those Olympians, I thought that was just the coolest thing ever. But then I met Wayne Simmons one day with my mom and my brother.
That's awesome.
And it was especially cool because we got to skip school that day.
That's who you remember.
Yeah, exactly.
Wayne Simmons was like 6'5", 5'8". I don't remember, but I missed school.
Yeah, exactly. But I thought that was just the coolest thing, seeing him out there. He played for the Kings at the time, and so it was such a cool experience, and I'll never forget meeting him there. But yeah.
So, how did you end up being the MIAC? How did you make out in the MIAC? Right, the MIAC, we know is in probably one of the best leagues that you could potentially play in for college, and Minnesota has incredibly diverse pool of talent, in that a lot of those players, like yourself, just are more apt to want to stay around here, and they play in the MIAC. So, tell us a little bit about what that was playing there, the competition, what that was like, and then just maybe what it was like playing against people they potentially had seen also playing in high school, and become either playing with and then becoming rivals later on, and a little bit of that banter.
Yeah, so it was pretty fun because a lot of players in the MIAC, they'll stay here and play just because obviously they want to stay home, and especially for me, it was nice having my family be at almost every game. So seeing people that you faced throughout high school, and some of them you played with, and like you said, play against, it's kind of cool seeing everybody develop and grow. And the MIAC is such a big competition now that it's not, back then it was, D1, and if you're not D1, it's like, I guess you'll play D3, but D3 is such a huge accomplishment, and it's just so competitive now that there's so many players out there that could probably go Division 1, but they have more opportunities, they have more fun, they just want that feel at that D3 level, and that's just something that is what they want, rather than trying to go for a D1 school just to say that you're going D1 to say it, right? Yep. It's awesome. I mean, it's competitive hockey. It's not, high school hockey anymore, right?
Yeah. What would be and you probably have a few, but what is one of the top memories that comes to mind just when you're thinking about playing in your college career?
Yeah, there's a ton of them, but I think my first biggest memory was my freshman year. We made it to the MIAC championship that year, and we had a really good season throughout. So we ended up playing, I think we were the third seed, So we thought that we were going to be going somewhere away for that championship game, but there was an upset. So we ended up being the home team. So we got to play the championship at our home rink, and it was packed. Like, I've never seen that place so packed for one of our games, so it was the coolest moment. Unfortunately, we lost in overtime, so that was a heartbreaker, but it was, like, that was the first big memory that I have, and it was electric. Like, it was so much fun to play in, and yeah, I'll never forget that.
Now, who are your, I assume your family, you said, is coming to all the game. Who's like the loudest one? Who's going crazy?
Oh gosh. So my mom, she isn't loud only because she takes pictures at the games. So she always says that the main reason that she takes pictures is so she's not screaming around, and which I very much believe, because you watch her Vikings game at home and it is loud.
What does your mom mean to you, and how's everything, you know, like raising you and just being that kind of like strong, you know, woman, strong black woman, right? Like, what does Cindy mean to you?
She means everything to me. Yeah, so she's been my rock throughout my whole entire life. My dad was traveling most of the time, so she was always the one staying at home. But she's still working, now she has her own business. Like, she is never taking no for an answer. She's always putting her best foot forward, making sure that, like, all of us kids had something driving us here and there, even though she'd work till midnight, get up with us for school the next morning. Like, she's the best, and I can't thank her enough. She was at all of my games, probably from mites till college. Yeah, she is the best role model I could have asked for, honestly.
Yeah, and incredible photos. Definitely check out Sinbad Media's photos. So you have a couple questions.
No, that was kind of it for college.
Yeah, I mean, I just have, like, because you were such a standout, you were an All-American, again, you led your team numerous years. Like, I mean, like, what does it take, in your mind, to succeed at the college level? You know, maybe versus high school level as well. Again, we were successful, but just like, you know, like, what does that jump look like? And, you know, was it tough? And just what advice would you have, you know, for young women coming up that want to play high-level college hockey and succeed?
Yeah, so definitely putting that work in off the ice throughout the summers, throughout high school. Like, honestly, our team, we didn't have like a strength program. Like, some other schools, big name schools, they have like their own strength programs that they do throughout the summer, things like that. But back when I was in high school, it was just kind of do things on your own. But after that, when I committed to Augsburg, it was actually Josh Levine with Fortis. We had connected, and I started working out with him, and we did a bunch of strength training, speed training, and that honestly boosted me up times a million. I became that much faster, that much stronger, and that's one thing that really helped me start playing right away in college, is that you can actually play with these girls who are obviously like 22 versus 18, right? Like, it's such a big difference, but making sure that you're actually working throughout the whole summer. You're not just going, oh my gosh, we have preseason starting in a month, I better get going. But it's throughout the whole year that you kind of have to really work and know what your goals are. And especially like writing down those goals and trying to figure out what you want to do is really important, because once you can finally achieve that, you cross it off. It's a great feeling.
So I did have one question about that. So we have talked a lot about like your accomplishments and the success. At any point so far in your career, have you had any like setbacks or anything, you know, you had to kind of, you know, struggle through or push through to get to this point?
Yeah, I mean, like anyone, it's that mental struggle, I think, is the main for me. Even my college coaches, we talk about this all the time, but I'm very hard on myself, and I have like that perfect mentality that if I mess up one time, then it's the end of the world. And that's something that I'm still trying to get through this day, but I think that was probably throughout high school and college. even now it's trying to figure out that making that mistake is okay and getting through it to put that past you. Obviously it's easier said than done, but that's one of the main things is trying to get through that and making sure that I can flush things easily and get right back to it the next shift.
For sure.
So you were a psychology major. You were not a psychology major. You were a biopsychology major. Mm-hmm. So what was that like? I mean, I couldn't even say it right. So let alone imagine the curriculum. It's probably pretty tough.
Yeah, could you explain what that is? I was wondering.
Yeah, everyone always overcomplicates it, but it's just biology and psychology combined, basically.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of how your mind works with your body's like physical sense and kind of chemicals that are going on. So I took a lot of those just regular biology classes mixed with psychology. Didn't have to take plant biology, the boring ones that I didn't want to do. And then, yeah, so it was tons of fun.
Mm-hmm.
I actually really liked it as a major. That kind of, when I was looking to figure out what my major was at Augsburg, I don't know why, but that drew me right in. I was set there from the beginning, so. Yeah.
Did you always like science growing up and everything, and biology? Was that your jam back in elementary, high school, all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, for some reason I don't know, but the history, social stuff, that was not my thing at all. My brother had to help me sometimes with that.
Yeah, we're opposite there. I'm like, oh, social studies history. I can read that all day. All on.
No chance.
So okay, that was incredible. Then you moved on from school and you're now coaching, a couple organizations. You coach with Fortis as well. And then you are also going to be entering a nursing program at St. Kate's. Can you tell us kind of like, what does coaching mean to you, giving back, and then also kind of like, what does it mean to be a representative for, again, young women coming forward? And I think of it as representative as like, you are the complete package. Like, here you are, you're an incredible hockey player, but then you also were a great student, and now you're moving into society, and you're going to be nursing, you're going to be helping people that way. So like, yeah, just what was that like, and can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I think definitely how you mentioned nursing and helping people, that's just kind of something that's in me that I just love to do. And nursing and coaching, as you can see, it's kind of correlates together. But getting involved in coaching, so back right outside of high school, I started coaching with Josh and Fortis. So I did mainly like the little kids, like squirts, mites, that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And then the past 2 years, I coached at the Jefferson Girls Program. I did their high school team. I was one of the assistants. And then now I'm doing more of just Fortis stuff throughout the year. And then I also do Minnesota Unbounded. So it's just so much fun seeing these girls and seeing them grow, seeing how much fun they have with their friends, and just giving them little bits of advice that they hang on to. Like I've had somebody at my first year of coaching for high school, they had a piece of advice that I told them, and they saved that from to the banquet, and they're like, I'll never forget this advice she told me, and I just thought that was the coolest thing. She probably doesn't even remember what it was now, but I just thought at the time that was so awesome, and seeing these kids, their faces light up when they get on the ice, it's just so much fun, and I love seeing them grow not only on the ice, but off the ice. You just see some of these kids, they'll start out in the beginning of the year, they're so shy, and they're just super timid on the ice, but then later on, you see them grow, and they have all these friends with them, and it's awesome. I love it.
Is coaching something you always thought about doing, or is it something that kind of came up later?
Yeah, so I think I kind of wanted to do it, but I don't really know where that ever started. Mm-hmm. But when I think when I was younger and babysitting, being around kids, just something that I love to be around them. And,
right.
So when coaching was falling in my lap, then I kind of took it on, and I think coaching different programs, different levels, it's helped me grow as a person too, because you have to figure out how to talk to different people and figure out their styles, and especially coaching high school, like game-wise, you have to figure out how you can talk and relate to these girls, especially being literally in their shoes as a Jefferson high schooler. You can relate to them a lot easier, and you can kind of figure out how best to talk with them and figure out what to help them with. So it's tons of fun.
That's awesome.
So then you have also you're on the Sonnets, and that is a team with the PWHPA, and you can watch those games at cbssports.com and CA. And just how did you end up in a space like that? I mean, so that is essentially professional hockey, right? It's a league that's being put together. It's 4 teams, 25 players on each team, and then you play a exhibition style in Canada and United States and other places. And yeah, tell us more about that.
Yeah, so it's a great opportunity. My first year was last year, so they kind of had whoever could and was able to come play, just because they were missing a lot of the Olympians that were off, which between Canada and the U.S. and other countries, that's a lot of skaters that they have to kind of fill in for. But that mission is to kind of make sure that us women are able to play the sport that we love and get paid to do it, and we don't have to sacrifice, doing a 9-to-5 and then, I guess we'll play hockey over here too.
Right.
Like, these women are great hockey players, and if we train and have the opportunities and the resources, then we're able to do the same thing, right? So I think it's an awesome mission and what they're striving to do, and just being a part of it is so much fun. Especially, I always say this, that if I play D3 hockey, I'm just here to play, But I think it's just tons of fun, learning from all these women that are out here, practicing with Olympians. It's so much fun, and it's just something that I always wanted to do, but maybe growing up I didn't know if it was in the cards for me. And now that I'm here, I think I just am trying to make sure that I soak it all in and play as much as I can, because I knew I'd regret not playing as long as I could when I'm older. So,
for sure.
Yeah.
And you're kind of explaining to me off air, how it worked. Is it difficult? I know you talked about, you're training here kind of individually, and then, going somewhere else to play. Is that kind of change of pace and a little harder?
Yeah, so it's different knowing that the girls that you are training with, you're going to be playing against in the next weekend, and you might not know who you're playing with over the weekend.
Yep.
But I think later throughout the year it'll obviously get a lot easier. But last year it was kind of up in the air too, just because numbers-wise it was hard. So I'm kind of used to that. Last year we had a few of similar things where there were new people coming onto our team, but I mean, it's hockey. It's so much fun to play, and everybody's there for the same goal, so you just know that as long as you communicate out there and have fun, what can go wrong?
Right, yep.
It's pretty, the names in that are honestly incredible, right? Like you're saying, Olympians, and you had Nurse and Lamoureux, and now her married name, but and her sister, and all just incredible, over 20, all these incredible people. What is that like? Because I can imagine, right? Some of the names I just named off, there are some younger folk, but there are older women who were definitely pioneers, and we were, moving up and everything, like the Olympics, and what is it like to be in the same locker room space, sharing with them?
Yeah, it's so awesome, and especially a lot of these women, they had started this whole league, so they kind of know what it takes to have started this thing from ground zero to where it is now. I think that's what a lot of people don't really realize, that they put so much time and effort into it, and they're still putting so much time and effort into this to make it what they want. And that's just so important, that knowing that what your goal is, and they're not stopping until they get there. But seeing these names that you have looked up to when you were younger, it's just so cool. You try not to get too involved into that when you're trying to get ready to go out on the ice, but I think especially talking to them, learning from them, I'm not afraid to ask them questions as to what they like to do on the ice, just to kind of help my game out. And they're the nicest people in the world, and they're always there to help you out. Like you said, there are a lot of younger girls from my age to maybe a year or two younger that just got out of college, up until whoever's been on the Olympic team since I was younger, and I looked up to them. But it's so much cool seeing everybody come together and watching everybody's different skills out on the ice. So it's
like,
awesome.
what is that like for you though? I'm not, it appears like you're selling yourself short, because I checked out those rosters and I recognized almost every name on there again, and then I see Nikki Nightengale, right?
Yeah.
Like you're like you are those people, right? And like
Yeah.
you will be, 10, 15 years from now, right? These young women are like, I want to play like Nikki Nightengale. What does that mean? Like you made it, to that kind of like level. I mean, so what is that like? Please tell us. I mean, it's gotta be incredible.
Yeah, honestly, it's surreal. It's one of those things that I never really realized that, like I said earlier, that I was able to attain to be at this point. Especially like throughout high school to college, I always thought like, okay, I'm a good player, but there's always that person better. There's always that person better than me. But just knowing that I'm amongst them, it's pretty cool, and I don't really think of it as like other people looking, oh yeah, that's Nikki out there. Like I just think, oh, I'm just here, yeah. But it's honestly so much fun, and it's awesome being able to keep playing. I mean, I can't be more grateful than having this opportunity to keep playing as long as I can, because there's a lot of people that don't get this chance, and so just trying to take in every moment I can, yeah.
What advice would you have for that 12-year-old Nikki who was switching over to girls hockey to avoid getting smacked around by the boys? Like, now where you are, like, what kind of advice would you have for yourself then?
Yeah, definitely the sky's the limit, and making sure that I'm actually putting in the work to achieve my goals. Because I think I always had in the back of my mind what goals I wanted and what I wanted to do when I was older. But I never really knew how to get there. And I think, like, obviously, as a young kid, you're not going to have a map and a plan as to how you're going to reach that goal. But I think as I got older, it's just so important to have that figuring out what it takes to get there, rather than just saying, oh, I want to do that, but like, how am I going to get there? So I think that's kind of one of the most important things.
Yeah, so you've always been one of the best players on the ice, and that's clear, but you are a woman of color, and have you ever felt that kind of prejudice at all in the range? Maybe if again people aren't saying stuff, those looks of like, oh wow, like you got really kinky hair, like stuff like that, right? So like, what is that like? Tell us a little about that.
Yeah, so I mean, throughout my entire life, I've probably had maybe one or two other minorities on the team, but I think because I'm lighter skinned, that it's easy in hockey for people to just be like, oh, like, yeah, whatever. But it's easy for me to kind of just get through it, right? But there's always those little things that people say, or they touch your hair, and they trying to like relate to different things that you are experiencing, but they don't really kind of understand. Or it's throughout the rinks. Me and my mom are walking out, and they're kind of double taking. Oh, they're here. It's just, yeah, it's something that you kind of get used to. You don't really you have to keep walking. You can't really pay attention to it, because there's obviously those little things that people are saying throughout the locker room sometimes that it might be those at the time you don't really think of as somebody being like, you're not going to second take as to what they're saying, but then all of a sudden you think back and you're like, oh, I don't know if they meant that the way that they said it, but yeah.
Wow. Did you use those kind of things as like motivation? I know, like when I was playing, you someone call you a name or give you a look and that kind of thing. I always kind of use that to like, get a one up on them on the ice or whatever.
Yeah, definitely. There were times where, I've had sometimes where people said something where I didn't hear exactly what they said, but you can tell by their tone it wasn't nice. Right. And there's a certain drive in me that there's kind of two angers in me when I'm playing a game. If I'm angry with myself, I'm going to be playing awful. But when I hear something from somebody calling me a name or something, then that anger kind of goes out onto the ice, and it's just all over for them, because I'm going to be all over them. I'm going to make sure that they aren't going to get a goal. They aren't going to get a shot on net. Like, it's just, yeah. So definitely that drive in me.
Nikki, so we're going to let you go here, but so what is kind of next for you? So you're playing professional hockey. You're with the Sonics, so, you'll be doing that for a few years. Maybe you'll, go on to do a couple of other things. Like, I don't necessarily know what that plan is, but I do understand that at one point you wanted to be a physician's assistant. Is that still the goal? Is it a different goal? What's maybe next for you after hockey?
Yeah, so throughout college, I found out what a physician assistant was. Thought that's what I wanted to do, but before you apply to school, you have to have a bunch of patient care hours. So when I was doing my patient care hours, I got my EMT certification, and now I'm working in urgent care. And I work alongside a bunch of nurses, and they kind of made me realize that that's more of what I wanted to do. I work with some PAs as well, and I just realized that I think nursing is the route for me, just because you can be an RN or you can go to nurse practitioner. There's a lot of different variety. Yeah. So we'll see where that takes us. Starting nursing school probably in the spring. Still gonna keep coaching, maybe playing hockey. Honestly, I have no idea. We're just kind of playing it by ear. I just know that I'm gonna keep coaching through Fortis, Minnesota Unbounded. We're gonna keep trying to get that going. Who knows what's next? Yeah, endless possibilities.
Yeah.
So
Sounds
I might
like
say
lots of juggle.
exactly. I might say this now and then.
Podcast coach.
Exactly.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, we can get you back on. You can take our spot. Isn't that what you should be doing? Oh yeah. So okay, well, cool. Thank you so much, and best of luck, and with everything that you're doing, and here with the Sonics, and nursing school, and we can't wait to see all the success that you're gonna have. Thank you so much again for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Awesome. Thank you, listeners, and please tune in again next week. We have an exciting show. Please. We're so excited, and please, if you know anybody that has a great hockey story, send them over our way, and we really appreciate it. Have a great one. Bye. All right, cool. Hey, nice. Good job. Thanks, Nikki.
Of course.
Cool. Thank you.
Having me.
Oh, yeah, this is so cool. Oh my God. It's the best show yet, for sure. Easily.
Number one.
Yeah, it's literally number one podcast. Like, that's what we're doing. Yeah. Oh, you should honestly, though, you should host.
Yeah.
I'm like sitting here, like, I should not be here, like, some days. And then, like, you should host it. And, like, you two should. And then, like, there are days that, like, me and you will. And then, like, in that way, like, yeah, we have, like, the voice of, like, like a woman who's like actually like has some like stuff going on.
Yeah.
Like two scrubs, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah. Awesome.
Yeah, it was fun.
Oh, and we're still live streaming. So this is Kendall. What's up?